welcome to Durga sir. In previous classes, we discussed about the Git real-time FAQs. Now we'll discuss about the GitHub real-time FAQs, guys. So, what are the real-time frequently asked question for the GitHub? Yeah, what is GitHub? Right. The first question is, what is GitHub? So, what is GitHub, guys? GitHub is a platform for hosting. So platform for hosting Git repositories with collaboration tools like pull request, code reviews, okay, and CI/CD, GitHub Actions also. GitHub Actions also good. Okay, what is the second one? What are GitHub? What are GitHub pull requests? What are PRs? Pull request. What are the GitHub PRs, guys? PRs are requests. PRs are requests to merge changes from one branch to another branch. What is that? One branch to from one branch or repo into another another. The yellow discussion, code review, and approval. Approval before matching. Approval before matching. Yes, understood? So now about now you understood about the PS pull request. Okay. So what are the Git pull request? PRs are request to merge changes from one branch or repo into another. They allow discussion of code review approval before merging, guys. So what is the third one? The third one is what are GitHub issues? So what are the GitHub issues, guys? Issues are used for tracking bugs. What is that? Issues are used for tracking bugs. Bugs. Enhancements are tasks. Tasks in a repository. Tasks in a repository. Is understood? What are the issues? Issues are used for tracking bugs. So what are the GitHub issues? Issues are used for tracking the bugs, enhancements, or tasks in a repository. Tasks in a repository. What is the fourth one, guys? Fourth one is nothing but what is GitHub Actions? What is GitHub Actions, guys? It's a it's a CI/CD service, a CI/CD service by GitHub to automate workflows like testing, building, and deployment. What is a GitHub Actions? It is a CI/CD service by GitHub to automate workflows like testing, building, and deployment. So, what is the fifth one? So, what is the difference between public and private repositories? What is the difference between What is the difference between public and private? Private repositories on GitHub. On GitHub base. Understood? So public repo. What is a public repo? What is a public repo? Accessible to everyone. Accessible to everyone. Next, private repo. What is a private repo, guys? Restricted access. It will be a restricted access. Only invited collaborators. Only invited collaborators will access this repository. What is a fork in GitHub? What is that, guys? The sixth one is what is a fork in GitHub? What is a fork, guys? A fork is a personal copy of another user's repository. What is that? A fork is a personal copy of another user's repository. A fork is a personal copy of another user's repository. You can experiment, make changes, and later purpose purpose them back via peer. Later purpose back them via peer. So what is a GitHub gist? What is the next question, guys? What is a GitHub gist? A gist is a simple way to share code snippets. Notes are a small scripts publicly or privately. Understood? So what is a GitHub gist? GitHub gist is a simple way to share code snippets, notes, or a small scripts publicly or privately. So how do you contribute to an open source project on a GitHub? So what is the next question, guys? The next question is, how do you contribute to an open source project on GitHub? So how do you contribute to an open source project on GitHub? So how do you contribute, guys? So you can contribute via fork the repository, and clone your fork, Okay. Clone your fork. The next one is create a new branch. Create a new branch. Make changes and commit. Make changes and commit. Push changes. Make changes and commit. Push changes. So what is the next one, guys? Next one is open a pull request. Open a pull Open a pull request. Okay. How do you contribute to an open source project on GitHub? Fork the repository, clone your fork, create a new branch, make changes and commit, push changes, open a pull request. Okay. What is the next question, guys? Next FAQ is, what is a GitHub? What is a GitHub pages? What are the GitHub pages, guys? A feature that lets you post static websites and static website directly from GitHub, from a GitHub repository. Okay. What is a GitHub pages, guys? A feature that lets you post a static website directly from the GitHub repository. What is GitHub stars and watches? What is the next question, guys? What are GitHub stars and watch? What is that, guys? Star. What is this? Bookmark a repo you like. What is that? Bookmark a repo you like. Okay. What is the next one? Watch. What is watch, guys? Subscribe. Subscribe to repo notifications. Subscribe to repo notifications. Okay. And 11th one is, what is the difference? What is the difference between GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbucket? What is that, guys? What is the difference between GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbucket? What is GitHub? Most popular community driven CI/CD via actions. CI/CD via actions. What is GitLab? So what is GitLab, guys? GitLab is nothing but a strong CI/CD, strong CI/CD integration out of the box. Strong CI/CD integration out of the box. So what is Bitbucket? What is Bitbucket? Integrates well with the Jira and Atlassian. What is this, guys? Who developed this Bitbucket, guys? Atlassian company. Atlassian. So what is the next one, guys? How does GitHub handle access control? How does it handle the GitHub access control, guys? Through collaborators and teams and organization rules, read, write, admin, maintain. Okay, so these all are the collaborators. What is the next one, guys? The next one is, what are GitHub organizations? Organizations. What are the GitHub organizations, guys? A way to group repositories, teams, and manage permissions in one place. A way to group repositories, teams. A way to group repositories, teams, and manage permissions. Manage permissions in one place, called as a GitHub organizations. So, what are the protected branches in GitHub? What is that? What are protected? What are protected branches in GitHub? That cannot be deleted. Of course, pushed. They often they often require pull request reviews before merging. So branches that cannot be deleted or force pushed, they often require a pull request reviews before merging. Before merging. So what is the next one, guys? What are GitHub code spaces? What are the GitHub code bases? A cloud-based development development environment that lets you code directly in GitHub with VS Code in the browser. VS Code in the browser. VS Code in the browser. What is the next one, guys? What is the difference between GitHub Flow and Git Flow? What is the a difference between GitHub Flow and Git Flow? Git Flow, we'll discuss about GitHub Flow. What is a GitHub Flow? Lightweight workflows. What is that? Lightweight, lightweight workflow uses main plus feature branches plus peers. Feature branches plus peers. What is Git Flow? What is a Git Flow? More structured, uses development, releases, hotfix, and future branches. What is it? So GitHub Flow, lightweight workflow, uses main and future branches and PRs. So Git Flow, more structured, uses develop, releases, hotfix, and future branches. Which is, so what is a GitHub Copilot? What is what is what is GitHub Copilot? So what is GitHub Copilot, guys? An AI, an AI forward coding assistant by GitHub. What is that? powered by Open AI Codex. Powered by OpenAI Codex. Right, guys? So, what is a GitHub token? It is GitHub token. It is GitHub token. Next question. So, what is a GitHub token, guys? Personal access tokens. So, personal access tokens (PAT) are used instead of passwords. Used instead of passwords for authentication. Password for authentic authentication with GitHub API. GitHub APIs and repo access and repo access. So, what is a GitHub Enterprise? What is a GitHub Enterprise? A paid version of GitHub for organizations that want private and self-hosted or enterprise level GitHub features. Enterprise level GitHub features. Is understood? So these are about the GitHub FAQs. These are about all these are about the GitHub FAQs. Oh, thank you guys.